Being a spiritual person is not merely a matter of following rituals or adhering to a set of beliefs. It is about embodying a mindset that transcends ordinary experiences and penetrates the very essence of existence. For many, spirituality is reduced to a checklist of actions: attending religious services, practicing meditation, or reading sacred texts. However, true spirituality delves much deeper. It is not confined to what one does externally, but is reflected in the very fabric of one's thoughts, emotions, and actions. Highly spiritual people, those who have moved beyond superficial understandings and have delved into the depths of their being, often possess mindsets that seem paradoxical to the untrained eye. These paradoxes are not contradictions, but rather they reveal the complex and multifaceted nature of true spirituality. While to an outsider, these ways of thinking may appear contradictory or illogical, they are in fact the product of a profound understanding of life and the human experience. Highly spiritual people, by their very nature, do not seek to elevate themselves above others or to attain worldly success through their spirituality. This is where they diverge significantly from those who may approach spirituality with a transactional mindset, where the focus is on what one can gain in return for spiritual practices. These individuals are not concerned with power, recognition, or the fulfillment of desires that are rooted in the ego. Instead, their focus is on a profound inner journey, a journey that often leads them away from the very things that others might consider important. In a world that constantly promotes the acquisition of wealth, status, and influence as the pinnacle of success, the path of highly spiritual people is countercultural. It is not about accumulating, but about releasing. Not about achieving, but about becoming. This paradoxical approach to life, where the pursuit of spiritual growth involves renouncing the pursuit of external achievements, is at the heart of their mindset. This renunciation is not born out of disdain for the material world, but out of an understanding that true contentment and power come from an entirely different source. It is often said that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This adage rings true for most, yet highly spiritual people seem to possess a quiet, almost invisible power that is not derived from external sources. This power does not come from authority, wealth, or status, but from an inner stillness, a deep connection with the divine, and an unwavering sense of purpose. Unlike the power that is often associated with control, dominance, and fear, the power that highly spiritual individuals possess is subtle, yet profound. It is a power that emanates from their very being, influencing the world not through force, but through presence. This is not a power that can be wielded or controlled. Rather, it is a power that flows naturally from a state of surrender and humility. It is in the very act of not seeking power that these individuals find themselves endowed with a strength that is far greater than anything the world can offer. This strength is not flashy or ostentatious, but it is enduring and transformative, often leaving a lasting impact on those who come into contact with it. The journey of a highly spiritual person is not one of linear progression. Spiritual growth is not a straightforward ascent, where one simply climbs from one level of enlightenment to the next. It is not about climbing a ladder of success or achieving a series of milestones. Instead, it is a journey of descent, of going deeper and deeper into the mysteries of the soul. This descent is akin to an excavation, where layer upon layer of the self is peeled away, revealing both the light and the shadow within. This descent often involves confronting one's own darkness, embracing one's own limitations, and surrendering to the unknown. It requires a willingness to face the parts of oneself that are uncomfortable, painful, or even frightening. It is a journey that requires great courage, for it is not easy to let go of the things that one holds dear, especially when those things have been the source of security and identity for so long. The descent into the soul is both terrifying and exhilarating, for it strips away the illusions of the ego, leaving behind only what is true and eternal. In this journey of descent, highly spiritual people encounter what is often referred to as the dark night of the soul. This is a period of intense spiritual crisis, where everything that once made sense is thrown into doubt. It is a time of profound inner turmoil, where the ego is stripped away, and all that remains is a sense of emptiness and desolation. The dark night of the soul is not a fleeting moment, but can last for days, months, or even years. It is a period where the spiritual seeker feels abandoned by God, where prayers go unanswered, and where hope seems distant. Yet it is precisely in this emptiness that the seeds of true spiritual growth are sown. The dark night is a crucible, burning away all that is false and inauthentic, leaving only the pure essence of the soul. For it is only when one has been emptied of all that is false that one can be filled with the truth. This emptiness is not a void to be feared, but a space of potential, where the divine can enter and transform the soul in ways that are beyond comprehension. This process of emptying and filling is a paradox that lies at the heart of the spiritual journey. The very act of being emptied, which might initially be perceived as a loss, is what makes room for divine grace to enter. It is a process that defies logic and reason, for it involves letting go of everything that one has been taught to value in order to receive something that cannot be grasped or understood by the mind. It is a process that requires a leap of faith, a willingness to step into the unknown, and trust that there is something greater waiting on the other side. This leap is not taken blindly, but with the deep inner knowing that what is to be gained far surpasses what is being left behind. It is a journey that demands complete trust in the divine, a surrender to the flow of life, and a recognition that the true treasures of the spirit cannot be obtained through effort or will, but through grace. One might wonder why anyone would willingly choose such a difficult path. The idea of willingly embracing suffering, uncertainty, and the stripping away of one's ego is counterintuitive to the human desire for comfort and security. Why would anyone choose to endure the pain and suffering that comes with the dark night of the soul? The answer lies in the deep inner conviction that there is something more to life than what can be seen or touched. This conviction is not a mere belief, but a profound inner knowing that transcends the rational mind. It is a conviction that there is a reality beyond the physical, a reality that is far more real and enduring than anything that the world has to offer. This conviction is not based on blind faith, but on direct experience, on moments of profound clarity and insight that reveal the true nature of existence. These moments, often referred to as mystical experiences, provide a glimpse into the divine, offering a taste of the infinite and the eternal. It is these experiences that fuel the spiritual journey, giving the seeker the strength to persevere through the darkest of times. Highly spiritual people are not driven by a need to help everyone or to save the world. This may seem paradoxical, especially in a world where altruism and service are often equated with spirituality. However, highly spiritual individuals understand that their role is not to be saviors, but to be channels through which the divine can work. They recognize that their purpose is not to impose their will on others or to change the world according to their own desires. Instead, they focus on doing what is in front of them, on fulfilling the tasks that have been given to them by the divine. This focus on the present moment, on the immediate and the tangible, is a hallmark of their spiritual maturity. They understand that their time and resources are limited, and that it is far better to make a deep and lasting impact on a few people than to spread themselves too thin and achieve nothing of significance. This understanding comes from a place of humility, recognizing that they are but one part of a much larger whole, and that their role is to do their part, no more and no less. Perhaps the most paradoxical aspect of the highly spiritual mindset is the way in which these individuals relate to their enemies. In a world that is driven by competition, where success is often measured by how many people one can defeat or outmaneuver, highly spiritual people take a radically different approach. The common narrative in society is one of winners and losers, where the strong prevail and the weak are left behind. Yet highly spiritual people do not see their enemies as obstacles to be overcome or threats to be neutralized. Instead, they see them as teachers, as opportunities for growth and transformation. This perspective requires a profound shift in consciousness, where the other is no longer viewed as separate or other, but as an integral part of one's own journey. It is a recognition that the conflicts and challenges posed by enemies are not external, but are reflections of one's own inner struggles. This willingness to embrace one's enemies, to love and forgive them, is not a sign of weakness, but of incredible strength. It takes far more courage and inner fortitude to love in the face of hatred, to forgive when one has been wronged, than it does to retaliate or seek revenge. It is a strength that comes from a deep understanding of the nature of the soul, from the realization that all beings are interconnected, and that the harm one does to another is ultimately harm done to oneself. This understanding is rooted in the spiritual principle of oneness, where the boundaries between self and other dissolve, revealing the interconnectedness of all life. It is a strength that allows one to rise above the petty concerns of the ego and to act from a place of true wisdom and compassion. This strength is not about force or domination, but about resilience and grace, about the ability to remain rooted in love, even in the face of adversity. This is not an easy path to walk. The journey of loving and forgiving one's enemies is fraught with challenges and difficulties. It requires a level of maturity and self-awareness that few people possess. It requires the ability to see beyond the surface of things, to recognize the underlying unity of all life, and to act in accordance with this understanding. But for those who are willing to take on this challenge, the rewards are immense. For in loving one's enemies, in forgiving those who have caused harm, one taps into a source of power that is far greater than anything that can be found in the material world. This power is the power of the soul, the power of the divine, and it is the only power that can truly transform the world. It is a power that heals, that reconciles, and that restores, bringing peace and harmony to a world that is often torn apart by division and conflict. In the end, the paradoxical mindsets of highly spiritual people are not contradictions, but rather expressions of a deeper truth. They are reminders that the spiritual path is not about achieving worldly success or gaining power, but about surrendering to the divine, embracing the unknown, and living in a way that is true to the soul. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. If you're still with me, please leave a comment on what you learned or what you would like to add. I would appreciate it. As always, wishing you a beautiful day.